Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on the Puritan and we get to hear from George Pye-board one more time in Act 1, Scene 2 before we're done with this scene. So he, remember, is a scholar and he's chatting with his friend Skirmish, who is an old soldier, and the two of them used to lead decent lives, but now in peace times and sort of because George stole some cheese from a church, they are finding themselves in rather desperate straits. They don't have much, they're poor, they're beggars, they're miserable, and they're sort of wishing that a war was going on, because when war is happening, there's more to do, and especially from George's perspective, there's too many scholars during peacetime talking about too much stuff, and people who may or may not actually be experts on the stuff that they're talking about. So they're frustrated with the whole thing, and he's like, the only thing that's left is for people to procreate, and they're either going to have more rich people or more poor people. And Skirmish was like, yeah, I think I was born poor. My dad was poor, so I'm just going to be poor. And George Pye-board says, "Pugh, faint not, old Skirmish. Let this warrant thee. Facilis descentius averni. 'Tis an easy journey to a knave. Thou mayest be a knave when thou wilt. And peace is as good a madam to all other professions, and an errant drab to us. Let us handle her accordingly, and by our wits thrive in despite of her. For the law lives by quarrels, the courtier by smooth good morrows, and every profession makes itself greater by imperfections. Why not we then by shifts, wiles, and forgeries? And seeing our brains are the only patrimonies, let's spend with judgment, not like a desperate son and heir, but like a sober and discreet Templar, one that will never march beyond the bounds of his allowance. And for our thriving means, thus, I myself will put on the deceit of a fortune teller. A fortune teller." So what he's saying here is that he has a plan. He's like, things aren't good for us now, but the little bit that he says in Latin, I looked it up in Google Translate, and it means going to hell. And what he's saying is going to hell is an easy journey for a rich person. So we could be those people if we wanted to. You know, peace is not treating us well, so why should we treat peace well? Why shouldn't we become the bad guys? Why can't we go out there and trick some people and fool some people and take advantage of some people? And we're not, like, as long as we're smart about it, like we're not going to just run around and create chaos, but we're going to be clever about these things that we do. And in order to facilitate that, I'm going to disguise myself as a fortune teller. And Skirmish is like, "Oh, really?" And he's like, "Yes. And you are going to be like a conjurer. You're going to be like a wizard. And I'm going to teach you how to like conjure things." And Skirmish is like, "Ooh, this sounds like fun. But, you know, who are we going to work with, mess with? Who are we going to target? Like, how are we smart about these things that we're going about doing?" And Pye-board is like, there was a widow who I saw weeping her eyes out in a garden just the other day. He's talking about Lady Plus. He's like, she's like exactly in the right mindset for us to be able to take advantage of her. So she's going to be our target. We'll figure this out. I'll teach you how to conjure, and then I'll be a fortune teller, and then we'll go trick her. We'll go take advantage of her and get her money and everything. And then they see a man being taken off to jail, and they're like, "Oh, that's really sad. That's my friend Captain Idle. Like, why is he being taken off to jail? What could have happened there?" And they're like, "You know what? Let's follow him to the jail and find out what it is that he did, and then we'll get to the whole conjuring business." So they exit to follow Captain Idle off to jail and see why he is being arrested, why he's being detained. And that's the end of Act 1, Scene 2. So we've got people in disguise, we've got a plot, we've got they want to trick a grieving widow, and then all the fun stuff with the widow and Edmund being maybe not the best guy and all of that. So we're laying the groundwork definitely for some shenanigans to happen in this play. And so come on back tomorrow and we'll see what sort of shenanigans start to unfold. I'll see you then. Mwah.